Would the Board of Trustees for Pasadena Area Community College please come to order? Ms. Thompson, may we have the roll?
Ms. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Waugh,
Here.
Dr. Mann,
Present.
Dr. Fellow,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Dr. Selvage,
Here.
Mr. Thompson,
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Ms. Cooper, please tell us what our closed session will be, the agenda.
Thank you, President Brown. Closed session items are collective bargaining, PCCFA, Government Code Section 54957.6. Conference with General Counsel regarding pending litigation, Californians Aware versus PACCD, LASC case number BS 151112, Government Code Section 54956.9A. The next item is conference with General Counsel regarding anticipated litigation. One matter, Government Code Section 54956.9B. In this particular matter, in my opinion, based on existing facts and circumstances, there is a substantial risk of exposure to the district in litigation, but the district declines to comment further because to do so, any further disclosure would jeopardize the district's opportunity or chance to resolve the matter favorably for the district. And the last item is public employee appointment, instructor, School of Health Sciences, Dental Laboratory Technology, and coordinator, Upward Bound Program, Student Affairs, Government Code Section 54957.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the board on these topics? If not, we will recess in closed session and we'll try as hard as we can to be back at 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Martin, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Did you say me? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. So if you'll join with me, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, welcome to our first meeting for the year 2015. I would like to wish you all Happy New Year. I hope you have a wonderful year. Okay, so we're going to get on with our meeting.
Should we deal with it?
I think we are. What is the next thing?
Then we would go into introduction.
We've got an awful lot on our plate right now.
Okay, do we have any introductions today?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay.
Comment.
Do we have any public comment
Non-agenda.
card?
Not on here, no.
No, non-agenda item, public cards, okay? All right.
Approval of minutes.
We do have public comment on approval of the minutes, so.
Yeah. So should we do that now?
David Kuit, if that's correct.
Where is-
Thanks. I'm Dave Hewitt. I teach in the graphic communications program. My comment is a request to amend or modify the minutes. At the December 10th meeting, at the request of Dr. Miller and the board, Academic Senate Vice President Chris P. Lone reported on the Senate's reasons to not sign the accreditation report. It was a substantive discussion, and it's not represented in the minutes. And in some way, I'd ask the board to please correct the minutes. It might have been in item P. Thank you.
Thanks. Is that it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I accept our motion to approve minutes.
Motion to approve?
Okay, any discussion?
Excuse me, I'm not sure, how are we addressing the question that was just asked of us?
We don't address in public, right?
Well, no, I mean, he was suggesting the minutes need to be corrected, now we're moving to approve the minutes.
So
So my understanding is that we're asked to, in some way, present more of the detail of what happened in the minutes, the discussion. It wasn't that it be corrected.
Well, okay, but that's an addition, that's a change to the minutes, so how can we approve them if they're going to be changed?
Well, I don't think we, Jeanette, sorry.
Our minutes are a record of actions. We have never recorded discussions, so for that reason, the minutes would not include that. However, the full discussion is available on, on the video, and that we do not record the discussions. So in that way, we are addressing, we probably should have given that explanation. I mean, at least that's the reason I'm not voting to put it in, because there have been many times when I have thought we should put things in, but we only record the actions.
Thank you.
I thought I had seen some of our minutes from perhaps during this past year that I've been on the board where there was an addendum, an addition that said, after extensive discussion or something like that.
But does it record the discussion?
Yeah, I mean, you just wanted to say after extensive discussion?
I wasn't raising the question, this gentleman.
Thank you. So do we have a first, we have a motion to approve the minutes and a second. Advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're now turning to our consent items. Is there any consent items that you wish to pull for consideration?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, 105B,
105B,
Not fully, this wants to discuss.
to discuss.
yeah, right.
Okay, any other one? Okay, so then shall we take a vote? And
I had raised a question, has that been pulled?
You're requesting that we pull, I believe it's 123B.
you would like to discuss that separately?
I mean, I've got,
You'd like to pull it.
It's not going to be pulled unless the other board members wants to pull it, so you can discuss it separately for now? 125B, is that the one?
yeah, well, I think we ought to pull it, but if
So
we want to
let's
discuss it.
have it for discussion separately.
Wait, you said 123B, not 123.
It was the one that I had sent Dr. Miller.
Yes, it's 123B.
123B for discussion. All others? Any other?
Well, 105B.
We have 105 and we have 123. Okay, so shall we vote on the other ones? Do I have a
Motion to
motion?
approve the remaining consent calendar.
Second.
So we have a motion by Dr. Fellow and a second by Trustee Waugh. Trustee Lewis, aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motions to approve all the other consent items have been granted. Now let's discuss.
President Brown, I'm sorry, but you should announce the appointees pursuant to 59P. That should be publicly announced, who the appointees are and their positions.
Thank you, thank you. I'll go back on that one. So should I redo the voting?
No, it's fine, the vote is passed, but
Okay,
the appointment
so-
should be announced.
So we have, where is it? Read his name?
Yes.
Okay, so we have some employment that are two person that would be appointed to office, Mr. Henry Sahigans and Sotelo Angela. These were voted on and passed in closed session.
No, here, now, you just voted on them.
Right.
Thank you. So we vote now again?
No, you voted on them, and now you've announced it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So now let's discuss 105B, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, the item I have a question about is, it's B150215, Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, Bixel, BIXEL Exchange, for $196,000 plus dollars. I'd just like an explanation of what that is intended to be for.
Dean Davila is back there, and I think he can come up and do a quick explanation for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, trustees. The Bixel Exchange is part of the LA Chamber of Commerce, As you know, they recruit a lot of industry partnership, and their membership is quite vast, over 1,000 members. The LA Chamber Bixel Exchange was selected as an intermediary role for the LA High Tech Consortia grant. An intermediary role is something new here in California, which is supposed to bridge the gap between industry and educational goals, for which they promote the educational programs that we develop in our institutions across the 8 community colleges and 16 high schools of the LA High Tech grant. At the same time, solicit skills from their industry partners on what it is that we need to be teaching towards to develop the right credentials and the right certifications for our LA High Tech grant. So they promote our programs, but at the same time, they hold us accountable that we're in alignment with that industry as well. So it's a very interesting role as an intermediary role that they have to balance the checks and balances of our work that we do for this consortia.
So what part of the college does this fit into? The entrepreneur, the small business incubator we have you're responsible for?
Right. This is, a comparison to the SBDC.
Yes.
This is about 30 times larger. LA Chamber of Commerce is large, and for which they solicit companies like Google, companies like Facebook, and other folks that we really need at the table, including Amazon Web Services, a very active member in this consortia. And so they just solicit the bigger fish in the pond.
Right, and I think also what Trustee Thompson is asking is what academic programs or career programs will this support on our campus now and going forward?
Absolutely. The LA High Tech grant is for the what they call the information and communication technology sector, which includes here at PCC, CIS, computer information systems, computer science, and business information technology. So that's the actual academic programs it supports, because the businesses and industries around high-tech sectors are all within the CIS, CS, and BIT majors.
And this will lead to new programs going forward as well as we look into the future.
In internships, they're also going to solicit many internships for our students through their membership.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, now we turn to 123B.
And if I just may read what this is, it's to approve the 2015-16 non-resident tuition fee pursuant to Education Code Section 76140 and 76141.
Your questions?
Right. I had some questions here. When I looked at this, it kind of rang a bell. This is a really big deal, the amount of money that we collect, and we're making an adjustment to a really big pot of money here. I just did some real quick calculations, and I thought, gosh, it's probably going to be about $10 million, and then that was confirmed after I had sent an email to Dr. Miller. This may be, well, as a consent item, it's not an opportunity to talk about this, but I think it's such a big piece, and every year we are supposed to go back and take a look at it and apply certain criteria that the state imposes to calculate the dollar figure. I think this presents an opportunity for us to bring out just how important this is, and what the factors are that are going into the calculation that we do each year. So I don't have all the information I'd like to have to understand what's going on here, but there's there are things going on here. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the numbers, but I think it's such a big deal that we ought to take a look at and be familiar with what's affecting the pot of money. $10 million out of a $160 million operating budget is a item.
That consent item, I noticed that we did have some questions. You raised some very good ones, but for now, we do need to approve this consent item because we are on a deadline, and I think Joe mentioned he would meet with us to provide the information that you wanted in depth. So if it's okay with you, Dr. Salvage, we would like to move this forward.
Yeah, it might be something that the Budget Audit Committee could take a look at.
Very good, thank you.
Sort through and then explain to the board, what we're doing each year and the impact.
We'd be happy to do that, Trustee Silva.
So do we have?
Trustee Brown?
Yes, sorry.
I think that Trustee Selvich has raised a very interesting point, and I think we should also discuss this in terms of enrollment management and strategic planning. since this is $10 million, then I think it's not so much how much we charge for the fee, but how many students do we want to have, what the effect of these students are on other students, what is the revenue generate, is there adequate housing? I think this is a bigger discussion, which I would like for us to have, and if you could meet and discuss the details, that would be fine. So maybe as a future agenda item in our planning, we should look at this whole issue.
And along with that, if I may add, we are limited the number of students we can accept, and so we've tried to balance international students and out-of-state students versus those within
In district.
the state, because we can charge a whole lot more money and make a whole lot more money on international or out-of-state students, but we don't want to do that and to jeopardize in-state students.
Right.
Or in district.
Call the question.
In district is within in-state.
Call the question.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do we have a second to approve the 2 consent items? Okay, so
Aye.
yes, go advisory vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Now we go to action items. Okay, so first of all, we're going to turn to Dr. Miller to review and receive audit.
That's correct. We have with us tonight Renee Graves, who is our principal auditor with the auditing firm of Vicente, Lloyd, and Stutzman, and Ms. Graves and her team are here to present to the board 2 audits. One is the district audit, and the other is the foundation audit. So would you please come to the podium?
So after we finish these 2, why don't we move up? I think we should do these 2.
And
Do this one.
you have the documents, I believe, in your possession.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much for having us. And for clarification, Dr. Miller, may I ask, we were prepared also to talk about the Prop 39
Yes, that is
audit.
correct.
Is that okay? So we have
Yes.
we have 3, and I'm going to turn over to Megan Aslin. She is the manager that oversees the entire audit engagement, and she's going to start. We're going to start off with the district report, and then after that, we'll follow it up with the Prop 39 report and also the foundation.
Good evening. The audit is a coordinated effort involving several departments, including fiscal services, admissions and records, and facilities. In addition to auditing the financial statements, we also audit state programs as directed by the State Chancellor's Office. The district receives federal funding, which has stringent guidelines that must be adhered to, that we also audit. As a result of this work, we are able to render an opinion. This is a very lengthy and detailed report, meeting the requirements of both the accounting profession and the California State Chancellor's Office, who has oversight responsibility for all community college district audits. We have met with management and the audit committee to discuss the details of this report, and I do not intend to go into them tonight. Rather, I'd like to highlight the most significant aspects of the report. The district audit, as well as Measure P Financial and Compliance and the Foundation report, all received a clean opinion, meaning the financial statements are fairly stated. This is the highest opinion that can be rendered. A few highlights for 2013-14 as they relate to the district's report are as such. The district continues to make progress in improving its college facilities. During this last year, the Center for the Arts facility was completed, and you may notice a shift in amounts categorized as construction in progress to capitalized buildings. The certificates of participation notes and the capital lease liability were both paid off. The district continues to increase funds that have been earmarked to pay for future other post-employment benefits. There was one adjustment related to the understatement of claims liability that we reported on in our audit. On page 59 in the audit report is an excellent summary of the opinion issued, as well as the types of findings that the district received as a result of our audit. The district had 6 current year findings, 2 of which were federal and 4 state compliance findings. findings related to internal controls were issued in a separate management letter dated November 17th, 2014. We also review findings issued in the prior year. Of the 3 prior year findings, 1 was considered partially implemented, with the remaining 2 in the current year finding section. That was all I was going to discuss tonight on the audit report. Did you have any questions regarding the district report?
I might just mention to the public and to the board that the Budget and Audit Committee, which is chaired by Trustee Selvage and has as members Trustee Martin and President Brown, did meet with our auditors, did meet with management. We went over everything very, very closely. I'm sure Dr. Selvage will have some things to say about that, but this was vetted very, very closely.
Dr.
You want to talk about the management, or Joe talk about the management portion of the audit?
Well, I think what Trustee Selvage is speaking to is something that we really would like to do, which is we're going to sit down very closely with the Budget and Audit Committee and take a close look at a variety of internal controls and a variety of management and functions that we are responsible for as a result of the management letter and a variety of other things. Certainly, recent actions in the city of Pasadena have brought attention to the importance of internal controls and the importance of sound fiscal management. We feel that we have good internal controls and sound fiscal management, but we can always sharpen things up a little bit. So Trustee Selvage and I have agreed that it makes good sense to do that, and we will be meeting with the committee soon in that regard.
Okay. I was meaning the management's discussion and analysis.
Right,
In the audit report, the MD&A section. In the
right,
audit report.
yeah. We can certainly take the time to go over the MD&A if you want us to.
If there are any highlights that you think ought to be brought out in particular.
No, I think that well, from my perspective, we did that work with the subcommittee, and we're moving forward. So I don't know if the board president wants to take the time to do that or not, or.
No, I think we have a pretty full agenda. Is it necessary?
The thing I think we ought to cover, though, is how do you go about making the audit? What do you do? How do you ensure that the information that's given to you and reported in the audit is accurate? And how can we be confident that nothing is being done that's not appropriate, as Dr. Miller just alluded to, has been revealed recently in the city of Pasadena?
If I could, the responsibility of the Budget and Audit Committee is to take the information that management puts together based on the request from our third-party auditors, is to go through that information so we can explain it and walk everyone through. They then take that information and identify any potential weaknesses and report it through the audit process, and then we come back and we look at those internal processes to ensure that they can be strengthened. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's something that the management team, in consultation with the Budget and Audit Committee, would actually look at in detail.
But what do the outside auditors do?
Yeah, I think Renee can respond. Go ahead, please.
I can respond to that. As far as the audit is concerned, our main objective in the audit is to give an opinion on the financial statements that they are fairly stated. As we go into that process, we do a risk assessment. So we look at areas either based on our experience with you in prior years, what we're seeing happening in the industry. We identify what those risk areas are. We also meet with management. We do a series of interviews with various individuals throughout the campus to see where they have concerns in the areas that they're most familiar with or where they work. And the next step we do is then we look at internal controls. Now, in that process, when we're looking at internal controls, we are looking at them to then develop our further audit procedures. So there is a separate engagement that can be done, an internal control engagement, where someone would look at all of your internal controls, whether they're over significant areas or some areas that are not as significant, and provide feedback on that. But that's a different audit than the financial audit that we're doing. As far as we are required to plan the audit to to find material fraud if it is happening, but again, that is not our number one purpose. So we do a number of different things, a lot of analytical work in doing comparisons, multi-year comparisons, a test of transactions, looking at the processes to try to identify those. But, you know, can I tell you that every single time a fraud is happening that the auditor is going to find it? We are not, and it's not our major purpose. In fact, that's, and within the profession, that's one of the things that we refer to as the audit expectation gap. There is an expectation that we're looking at every transaction and we're going to find everything. And that's really not. Our purpose is to give it an opinion on the financial statements so that a user using these financial statements, and that would be you as the board, as well as bond counsel or anyone else, that they would make an appropriate decision. And there's a certain materiality level in there that if that information is incorrect or it's missing, they are still going to make a proper decision by using your financial statements as informational. So for example, your bond counsel and the underwriters will still issue bonds based on your financial statement, even if there's something of a certain nature that should have been included or is incorrect.
And I'll add that even way prior to the City of Pasadena's issues, we looked at our fiscal area and realized that we were a little shy on senior staffing and what have you. So the board, in its wisdom, a little over a year ago, approved the hiring of a controller, and we now have a controller. Approved the hiring of a budget analyst. We now have the budget analyst. And we have a new director of fiscal services. The controller and the director both have CPAs. We have one area of exposure that we are working to fill, which is in our student bank, oversight of the student bank area, supervisor of that, which is now handled by other staff, but we're going to deal with that. The MD&A, the management discussion and analysis that Dr. Selvage was referring to, is Roman numeral 1 through basically 8 in the front of the document, and it is a good descriptor, if you will, of the financial highlights and our condensed financial information and a variety of other things, all of which we are taking very seriously. The other thing that I'd like to add is, as a result of some other issues that the district encountered a few years back, we brought VLS on first in a forensic mode to review very carefully our situation at that time. And I believe I'm not overstating it, Ms. Graves, by saying that nothing was found of a material issue relative to concerns at that point in time. Since that time, we have changed auditing firms and brought on VLS. I will say from personal experience, having worked with them for now going on 3 years, that they turn over rocks that were not turned over before. They look very carefully. I want to remind the board that we had a new technology, the Banner fiscal system that we brought up recently. There are growing pains with that, and staff is very aware of that, and VLS has been very helpful in pointing out some of the challenges associated with that. So I'm confident that we're heading in the right direction. There's work to do. As I mentioned earlier, that we will sit down with the budget and audit subcommittee, and we'll delve into any topics vis-a-vis internal controls or what have you that the committee wishes us to do.
Great. Dr. Mann, you had a question?
Yes, I actually have a question and a comment. On the letter here, separate, there were some things that I think that the public should be aware of, and I would like follow-up on. It says, we know that the college has multiple ethics policies in place, but training is recommended on fraud awareness and ethical conduct to safeguard the district's assets. I think that would be a good thing for us to consider.
Yes.
And maybe we could have a report back from management. And they also recommend we consider an anonymous fraud reporting hotline. And I think that would be something else that we might really, that would not be difficult to do, and then we could also get follow-up on that, would assure the public that we're taking this seriously. And then the other thing is the procedure manuals and clear documentation of rules responsibility, because in some departments are not clear. And so I'm assuming we're working on that. But I think the training, the ethics and fraud awareness training and the hotline are two things not only that we need to do, but that we need to make public that we're doing. I think that will help assure people that we really are serious about this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mann. That's a very good point. That should be brought out. Dr. Selvage?
Did you have a question? Yeah, you can go ahead. Okay. Right. The points that Dr. Mann just mentioned were things that we've also detected, and we are going to be covering those. I don't want to confuse things. Try not to. But I watched very closely what was unfolding at the city of Pasadena, and a number of people have asked me what's going on at PCC and could this happen there and all that. What the forensic analysis found that was conducted after it was suspected that there were fraudulent transactions going on at the city, KPMG was called in. They spent they charged $350,000 to do about a 4 or 5 month analysis. Two of their principal findings were that there were not sufficient controls in place for, well, in particular, the fund from which the $6.4 million is alleged to have been embezzled. And also, there were some controls in place that weren't followed. Now, this alleged fraud went on over 10 years, and there were 10 financial audits.
Okay.
Nobody picked up on it. Who's to blame for what happened over there at City Pasadena is going to be figured out sometime in the future. But the ultimate responsibility for having controls in place and for making sure that controls are followed is the entity. In our case, it's us, PCC. And having gone through the meeting with the auditors, excuse me, I am satisfied that they did everything that is expected in a financial audit, and these findings that were mentioned here, or these observations, and then the specific findings in the report are well thought out, and we're happy that you came up with this.
Thank you. Trustee Lewis?
Yeah, I was wondering, could you quickly explain the last pages where it says the uncorrected misstatements from November?
Yes. In the letter that you're referring to, this is a required communication that we need to issue to the board or anyone charged with governance. So we do bring it to the audit committee. And we have a responsibility to communicate to them anything that we found that should have been recorded in the prior fiscal year and was not. So in this instance, there was we refer to it as a past adjustment. And what we mean by that is, in order to render our opinion, we are not requiring that this adjustment be made, and we can still give a clean opinion. So it's not materially affecting the financial statements. We do bring it to management because the financial statements are management's, and they can choose whether they want to record it in the fiscal year in which it belongs, or if they want to wait. Many entries are kind of timing difference. It didn't get picked up in the correct year. And this one in particular, what this finding is, or what this adjustment is relating to, is the majority of your cash is being held by the county treasury. And internally on your books, it's treated like any regular cash account, any bank account that you and I would have on a personal level. But the county is investing that money on your behalf. And so at the end of the year, they're reporting what the fair value of those investments are. And there's a GASB standard. As auditors, we love our standards and our principles, but there's GASB 31 that says if you have money in the investment pool, it should be reported at fair value. So we do this calculation, and because it's not material, then it's not being recorded. But as I mentioned, we are required to report that to the board.
Great, thank you. So I would like to, okay.
Excuse me, I didn't have my script quite well organized as it should have been. As with last year, a couple of other observations. The budget is the plan that we start out the year with. The audit is what actually happened, and we compare those. But something that came up last year, we talked about it, and everybody should keep this in mind. PCC is facing challenges in the future with the retirement funding, the funding of the post-employment
OPEB,
benefits.
other post-employment benefits, right?
We have the potential for exposure from the Obamacare, Affordable Care, whatever we call it.
Affordable Care Act.
The Cadillac plan tax that may hit us. So, we've got some, and the Prop 30 money, 15 or so million dollars this year, I think, and it expires. Whether or not the voters are going to step up or somebody's going to backfill. But, these are some big pots of money. One that we've got, and it's going to be fading away, and it will or won't be replaced. And then a couple others that are obligations that are they're growing. We may have gotten some benefit from the rise in the stock market on the unfunded liabilities, but those things are out there, and they're going to be real factors as we go ahead budgeting.
So we had a great discussion. I was happy to be part of that auditing committee. And I think you have one more question, so we could move on.
I do. I just wanted to make it very clear that I'm not suggesting that we are not doing things properly. I just want to be certain that we are. I want to have the topic raised. I think we don't have to go through it right now, but at some point in time, we ought to be told how it is that checks are approved and signed and then put in the mail. Because apparently what happened in the city did not follow the procedure that was required, and that's how, in part, how many of the horrible things happened that have been brought out in the press and everything like that. So we have to cover that now, but at some point I think we ought to talk about that and make sure that we're all confident that we're doing it the right way, and we're not allowing one person to carry a check up, get it approved, take it to the next level, get it approved, then come back, change 141 to 251 or whatever the numbers were, and then mail it. So anyway.
Thank you. So as I was saying, so do we have a motion to approve this?
I'm sorry. So we're going to do them one at a time very quickly? Is that the idea? Is that what you think?
However you
Yeah,
like
they're
to. If you'd like to
actually-
do it in approve, and then we can move on to the next one, either way.
Okay, so let's do the second one. Sorry about that.
Look, can I make one last comment? And
Sure.
Dr. Salvage reminded me of this when he was mentioning that the retirement amounts, and that is one of the items we have in the report, is there's another new standard. It gives me an opportunity to talk about standards. But GASB 68 goes into effect in 1415, and there you will need to report your share of the liability for both PERS and STRS. And we're still waiting for PERS to provide information to all of our districts on what their share of that liability will be, but we're expecting it to be a large amount. And I shared this with the district management earlier today, but STRS has issued a letter, and right now they're saying that your share of the STRS liability is $4.2 million. And under that standard, that will be recorded as a liability on your balance sheet.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move to the other one.
I'm sorry?
Let's
Move
talk
to
about
the
Prop
other.
39 and the foundation, if you want to report on that real quick.
Oh, okay, sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Prop 39 will stay in the theme of the district, if that is okay with you. That report is a combined both financial and performance audit. Both reports have a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion. The financial statements and the numbers that are here are also incorporated in the district report. But, and basically what's happening with the bond fund is your last series was issued in a previous year, and so at this point you are spending down those bond proceeds. So you'll see that your expenditures are in excess of your revenue, but that's what we expect to see until you do another bond issue.
And for clarity, Prop 39 is the Measure P.
Right, yes. This is, and it is confusing now with the two Prop 39s. There's Prop 39 related to bond issuance where it went from a 2/3 majority vote to pass a bond measure to a 55%. And that's different than the Prop 39 that most people are talking about these days, which is related to the energy. So as a result of of the original Proposition 39 back in 2000, because it dropped the voting percentage, then it put various safeguards into effect. One was having this specific audit, both a financial and a performance audit, and then also setting up your oversight committee so that they are overseeing the activity related to your bond measure. As it relates to that, there are certain ed code requirements that state that your oversight committee members, there needs to be a certain number of members on the board, certain constituents that are represented. There needs to be a website where the minutes are posted. They have to issue an annual report. And any reports that are provided to the oversight also need to be reported on the website. So that all encompasses what's in this report. Our main objective when we audit expenditures is ensuring that the expenditures charged to the bond program are for projects that were approved by the voters. So we go through our typical testing, looking at approvals and those types of things, but then we take it a step further and make sure that that expense relates to what the voters approved. So you'll see that kind of throughout both the financial audit and the performance audit. So the other thing to point out within this audit is we do have a finding this year. There were actually 2 findings in the previous year. One of them was cleared up, and that was where the budget reports being presented to the Oversight Committee weren't reconciling to the internal system. That was rectified during the 13-14 year. The finding that was in last year's report, and the majority of it carried over to this year, was just making sure that the website was up to date. And basically what was happening is when a new budget report came out, it superseded the previous one. So it wasn't, if you read the minutes and it referred to a report, you could no longer find that report on the website because a new one had been put on the website to replace it. But they all need to be included, and that already has been corrected in this year. So we should not see either of those findings return next year.
Okay, so
All right, so then lastly is the foundation, and I know that representation from the foundation is here, so if there's questions that need to be answered by management, they're here to help do that. But the report for the foundation, pleased to say it's another report with a clean or an unqualified opinion. We have met with the audit committee to go over the report. The executive committee has reviewed the report in detail and approved it, and it will be presented to the full board, I think this week, March. So it is in process. And financially, the foundation is again, similar to the district, has very prudent financial management of their operations. If you look at their balance sheet, you'll see that their investments increased, and I know it's something that they spend a lot of time with their investment advisor, and the executive committee reviews investments and make sure that they're in prudent investments and are safeguarded as much as they possibly can when you have anything in the stock market. And other than that, the footnotes, there were no new accounting principles or policies that they had to implement. The foundation, being a nonprofit, follows different standards. They follow FASB, whereas the district is under GASB standards. And then there are some specific FASBs related to not-for-profit accounting, and they are implementing all of those standards as well. So we did not have any findings or anything in a management letter that was issued to their audit committee or their board. So other than that, I don't know if you have any specific questions related to the foundation.
Okay, any questions?
I'd like to move that we receive I think that's what we're supposed to receive, the audit.
yes, and if I can just clarify, that'd be the district audit, the Prop 39 audit, and the foundation audit. You can
The
cover
audits, plural,
all
okay.
three, exactly.
Very good. Trustee,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so very much.
And I'll just finish this by saying sincere thanks to Megan and to Renee for their great work and patience and support of staff, particularly during the transition in our new technology. So we appreciate VLS a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is item G, Presidential Search Update from Ralph Anderson and Associate, Mr. Stan Ardyberry and Ms. Vicki Nicholson, Dr. Vicki Nicholson. Thank you for being here today.
Well, again, I'd like to extend a great New Year's to President Brown and the remainder of the trustees, as well as to the faculty and staff of Pasadena. And I hope everyone had an enjoyable holiday season. So I want to make sure we were able to say that. We're here tonight to ask the board to approve portions of the screening committee binders. You were provided those binders at your November board meeting, so I know that each of you have taken all the time between then and now to read every page, so shouldn't have much there. But what we're asking are two things tonight. One, to approve portions of the binder, and also for you to set reimbursement amount limits for travel expenses for semifinal interviews and final interviews. So we'd like to get some directions from the board in that area. When we look at the screening committee binder, We're asking you to approve the charge to the screening committee. And you can see the standards that we're asking the screening committee to operate under. We're asking you for a couple of important items in this charge, that you appoint a chair to the screening committee. I did have conversations with Dr. Nicholson and with President Brown that it might be a good idea to appoint Dr. Nicholson as the chair of the screening committee, and that would take care of that if that is the desire of the board. So we're asking for you to appoint a chair. We're also asking you to recommend a minimum number of candidates that the screening committee would recommend to you, and President Brown indicated that that was 3.
Minimum.
But I do have a question for you, minimum of 3, and I know that the committee will ask me when we meet, and our first meeting is on the 3rd of February, they're going to say, okay, a minimum of 3, but is there a maximum? If they came to you through their process and identified 9 folks that they recommend that you interview, will you interview those 9?
We will have to discuss that. So what is the pledge of the board? What do you,
So I guess my expectation as a board trustee would be that we hire a consultant, and that one of the things that you would be doing is screening these applicants, and then give some recommendations as to whether or not you feel these were clustered close. I mean, this was, you know, I've seen interviews come in where they're like at 90, and then all of a sudden if you just put like some cutoff and you have people who are very close, that seems to be an arbitrary number. So my expectation would be that it's the consultants who would come back and say, look, we have a good number and we think that this is what we would recommend. And the board can always choose to say, you know, we're not going to interview 12 or whatever you submit, or we're only going to interview so many.
Part of our role will be to do what we refer to as the first level screening. We will identify those candidates based on their application, their education, their training, their experience. We will then recommend that those candidates be considered for interview. We will also identify those candidates that we feel should not be considered for interview. However, the committee will be given all the folks. So they will have all the folks to take a look at if they so choose. But we will identify those that we feel, Dr. Harrington and myself in our process will look at those and make recommendations to the screening committee. I can't tell you how many that will be, because that'll be based on the total number of applicants there are. But I know if you're setting 3 as a minimum, the committee will be told that they must identify at least 3 candidates to bring forward. My question is, what if the committee came and said they had 8 folks? I just picked 9 as an arbitrary number. So whatever directions you would give me would be what we would take back to the committee.
Dr. Mann?
Well, I've worked with a great many searches, as Dr. Atterbury knows, and usually there, you know, there's like maybe 5. I would say if there are 8 comparable candidates, all the names should come forward, but I think that would be an abundance of riches. And so I would, you know, say 2 things. First of all, if there aren't 3 well-qualified candidates, I would like to know that. I don't want a 3rd person sit in just to meet an arbitrary number. I mean, and I don't mean like giving, you know, this person's 98, this person's 96. I mean, if there really is not a you know, really outstanding candidates. But secondly, I would think that what we would like would be candidates which are comparable. And usually in a search, you kind of do get a clustering. I mean, here's the top ones, here's the others. It's like grading papers.
Basically, my experience has been, do you want to let the trustee ask his question, then I can give you my comment?
Well, I'm going to have Trustee Martin and then Trustee...
Well, I'll yield to Trustee Lewis.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
Trustee Lewis.
I appreciate that. I was going to say that to me, 9 is probably a max, and anything over that, I would say that the screening wasn't done vigorously enough. If we're letting more than 9 people into the top, then we probably need to raise the bar.
Okay.
I was going to ask the consultant that we have here, who's a professional, if you had a recommendation based on your vast experience and the issues you've encountered with too high or too low of a minimum max?
Good question.
No, because I've seen the highest has been about 12 applicants for CEO positions, and I've seen as low as 8. And it really depends on the number of total applications that we get. I can say this, if all the folk that we have talked to who have said they're going to apply, if all of them apply, you have more than 3.
We only need 1, really.
Yeah, if all the folks that we've talked to really follow through and apply, you will have more than 3. Now, how many more than 3? I can't answer that. But I also say that you'll tend to see that cluster creates very quickly. Your top tier, probably in the first votes, you'll have your top 5, top 6. Then the committee will have to discuss if they want others. But usually that top 5 or 6 usually come out very quickly in the scoring of the committee when they're doing their paper screening.
My follow-up question is, in a 15-member committee, is it 8 votes that moves the name forward, or is there some other magic number that you're going to be?
The first round is all based numeric. There's a number system that the committee will give to each applicant in the evaluation. So it'll be all based on numbers, and then we'll identify those numbers and see where they fall. Then usually you'll get, let's say, the first 8 are close, 1 and 2 points apart. Then there's a big drop, with maybe 9 or 10 points between number 8 and number 9. And committees will usually cut it off right there if that break is that high. And it's usually at the break that they begin to make the cutoff.
So the question you want us to answer is how many are we willing to interview?
Correct.
Is that correct?
The
Do we
maximum.
have to tell you now, or can we just send it to you over the weekend?
I mean, if you're going to discuss it, what I need from
We'll
you
let them
tonight
process it.
is the number 3.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I
you
need
got
from
that.
you tonight. However, we have our first committee meeting on the 3rd. I would like to give the committee their charge on the 3rd.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind 6 candidates. I think last time we interviewed 6 or 7 with a whole day's job. And so I'd be willing to go at least 5 or 6.
Right, but I would hate to have an arbitrary number. I mean, if we say like 5 or 6 and there's 7, I don't want you to spend a lot of time figuring who you're going to vote out. So I would personally be comfortable. One time we got 8, and I would be happy with 5 or 6, but I think what you just said, we really need to look at the comparable candidates. So maybe 6, 7, something like that.
And trustees, may I say this? You've elected or you appointed 7 community members. You will confirm 8 college folk. Trust your staff. Trust your staff that they're going to bring you highly qualified candidates to interview.
Mr. Thompson?
Yeah, I would, having served on the committee last time as the board's liaison, I would say that 3 as a minimum is the way to go. Let the committee decide whether there should be 5, 6, 7, or whatever the number is, because they're the ones going to be interviewing the large number and talking among themselves, and I think that's the purpose of having the committee. So I would say a minimum of 3 and leave it to the committee to decide whether they give us 5, 6, 7, or whatever number.
Okay. Then we ask your committee to sign the Pasadena City College Screening Committee Member Participation Agreement. That's based on your search agreement that all committee members must sign internally. The only change here was that the committee is not serving as a search committee, it's only serving as a screening committee. So it is your document, and we're asking that we require all of the committee members sign it because confidentiality is of the most importance. And if we have a breach in confidentiality, it could cause for a committee member to be removed. So we're asking that they be required to sign that.
One question, so at what point is that done?
Pardon?
At what point do they sign it, especially the
At the first
community
meeting.
members?
At the
So the
first meeting.
community members will be, they will be presented with this document?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The committees will receive a binder, and I'll be sending those binders to Ms. Thompson over the next couple of days from our office. And each committee member will have a set binder. They will also have the evaluation tools that will be used to evaluate the applicants. So they're going to have a complete set.
Okay.
The next one is the EO training. The district has training set for February the 30th? No, not that.
January 30th. and February 18th. And districts, excuse me, and I've been working with the HR department. This is their ongoing training. It's done annually, and they have it scheduled for January 30th and February 18th. I have, in particular, all of the internal employees on the committee have had the training or will have had the training done by the HR department. I've also invited the community members to this training, and they have agreed to come on the 30th. I have one, I think, is scheduled for the 18th. The question, of course, and we've had discussions as to whether or not they would be doing the district's training or if that would be something that the board would want me to provide for the community members. And so that's the question and the direction I need.
Wait, I signed up. I forgot to send you an email back for the EEO on the 30th. Sorry, I just remembered.
Thank you.
Okay,
So Dr. Dickelson, is the EEO training that's provided for our on campus any different than the EEO training that the screening committee would be getting?
No, it would be very similar. It covers the EEO laws, it talks about the committee, work on a committee, and those kinds of things. The differences might be the actual questions. When I have done EEO training, the committees actually did interviews. This committee is not going to do that, so there's no need to have discussion over developing questions and things like that. But the screening process, we would be going over that as well as all of the EEO laws that pertain.
So when you say, in your experience, that there are interview questions that are given and that the screening committee won't get that, you mean specific to what they're going to be?
No, just in general, how to pose questions. But since this committee, the presidential committee, is not going to be asking questions, that part of the training would not need to be covered.
Okay, anyone? Go ahead, Dr. Ross.
Got a couple of questions on the, let's see, the schedule, the attendance. The first meeting for the members is on the 2nd. My guy, either yesterday or the day before, he hadn't gotten a schedule yet.
The first meeting of the committee is February 3rd.
Oh, okay, 3rd. Okay. But have they all got the schedules now? Because
They have all signed up for the meeting on the 3rd of February.
Oh, okay.
And most...
my guy too, Dr.
Yes,
Jennings.
your representative is scheduled.
How many meetings do you expect there to be? Just expect.
I would think, okay, this is the first one. The next one will be when they receive we have to determine how they're going to receive all the documentation. I would say no more than 2 meetings or 3.
Okay. After the first one?
After the first one.
Right, okay.
No more than 1 or 2.
And the material said that everybody has to go to all the meetings. What happens if somebody doesn't? Are they ejected?
Then you're going to drop them out.
Okay.
Because it's so important that everyone participates throughout the process. Because if one person doesn't participate throughout the process for some reason, then all of a sudden shows up at the last meeting to do paper screening, you could probably have a problem. So people have to commit themselves, and we will schedule these meetings next week when we meet with the committee so they'll know when those scheduled meetings are, in 2 weeks,
Well, my assumption would be that you would let the board president know that you're having that problem, that we don't have, not all members of the screening committee are committed, so that we don't come to it at the end? Okay.
Yeah, What we're hoping, trustee, is that at the meeting in 2 weeks, that if there's any scheduled conflict with a committee member, if it's a community member, we'll alert you. If it's from another one of his constituents, we'll communicate to that constituent group that that person has a scheduled conflict, a vacation. So we should know that, hopefully, and we're asking all of the committee members to bring their calendars so that we could set those dates.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Nicholson is asking for directions tonight on the EEO training, and I would feel very comfortable having her give the training.
Just, did I hear you correctly that the committee is only going to be meeting 3 times?
Yes.
How in the world are they going to do the interview process in that limited
Because
time?
they're not interviewing.
They're a screening committee, they're not interviewing.
Well, okay, but,
Here, let me conceptually.
yeah, all right,
Applications are due in February the 12th.
yeah.
Then we do our process. They then get the applications to do their individual paper screening and scoring. They return that information back to us. We put it on a spreadsheet. We come back for another meeting for them to look at the spreadsheet and look at how the candidates are being ranked, for them then to decide of this ranking who they're going to recommend to you. So there's your 2 meetings.
I think that's unrealistic. I mean, again, having been on the committee before as our liaison here, I just think you're going to need more than that. And last time, as we had certain, at least the last 2 candidates that came out here, they met with the entire committee.
But this is just the screening committee.
I realize that, but I'm just saying what happened before, and I think it's a good procedure to follow. I mean, I think you're going to kind of cause members of the committee to lose interest if they're only going to be 2 times together looking at CVs on paper and know nothing else, and to say, well, we're recommending A, B, C, and D, or whatever. So I think that's not a very good procedure.
But that's the process that you've given us.
Well, you're giving it to us.
Okay, go ahead.
Trustee Thompson, we discussed this and agreed upon it. That is the process that we gave them. This is a screening committee. I think it's been very clear for some time that they are not interviewing, that the board's doing all the interviewing.
That is true, but I'm just saying expect them to do all this in no more than 3 meetings, I think is unrealistic.
You think the screening will take more?
Yes, I do. I really do.
I agree with Trustee Thompson.
Go ahead.
I don't know, these
Trustee
people have had
Wi-
many years' experience.
Trustee,
Right. So the first thing I'd like to say is I'm pretty sure he has the wisdom, having done it a few times, that he would know, and he did walk us through the process. But as far as paper screening, when I've done it before, is you don't come to the meeting and paper screen everything right there on the spot, right? You have an opportunity to come in and do it on your own time, so when you show up, you've already knocked out a lot of the work. So it's not 1 meeting to read every applicant and rate it, and then another meeting to come back and talk about it. You have to come in on your own time, right?
Yes. In addition, if there's additional meetings that are required of the committee, then we would have additional meetings that are required of the committee. Okay. So that's, but the process that we've outlined is based on the directions given from the board, that the role of this committee is only to paper screen.
thank you. Go ahead.
I think that we have, I'd like to concur that we have reviewed that schedule, and we did approve it. I believe my community member has reviewed it, and I did not hear that there was any dissension. I think if you drag it out too long, I think that's when they will lose interest. But I want to comment on the EEO training. So as to who should give the training, I'm really agnostic. I think that if either one or the other can give the training, I don't know why we couldn't have our own HR people give the training, but I would say that that whoever gets the training should all receive the same training from the same source. So then if you're saying that our internal candidates have gotten the training, then, and we're going to use now an external EEO trainer, they should have to either come back, or else we just say everyone comes to the internal EEO trainer.
Well, the hopes is that right now we're expecting all of the community members to participate in the district training on the 30th. Dr. Nicholson will also participate in that training on the 30th.
Oh, that's good.
If there's one,
There's one that has indicated that she would be coming on the 18th to the district's training. So they would all have the same training, and I think that's important as well, that they all receive the same
That's correct.
information.
Okay.
And
Any
that
other
I
questions?
also know what that information
Good.
looks like.
Okay, Dr. Salvage?
Two questions. The first one has to do with the score. As you mentioned, I've seen the score sheet and all that. That's kind of an art, assigning numbers and all this. Now, after everybody's gone through the screening and you've got a bunch of names and a bunch of scores next to them and other information, does the process permit you to forward to us somebody that has a lower numerical score than somebody else who doesn't get forwarded?
well, we're going to submit to you the candidates that your committee is recommending, and we'll also give you all of the candidates that were paper screened.
But I'm asking, are there candidates that are forwarded to us who may have a lower score than some who weren't forwarded with recommendation to consider?
No, I don't know. I can't see that. I can't see that happening.
What I'm driving at is what I think is a real limitation to making fine determinations for numerical scores.
Well, you know, one of the other things that's really crucial why the committee comes back, and one of the things we tell the committee on that day, don't schedule anything else because we don't know how long it's going to take, because committee members discuss the candidates. And one committee member may feel that this candidate was great and may convince the other committee members that,
right.
oh, I overlooked something on that candidate, and then that candidate could be possibly moved up. So there will be dialogue.
You mean score adjusted
Yes.
up to put him ahead of
Yes.
somebody else?
Yes.
Okay.
So the thing is that we ask committee members to discuss the candidates. And typically what I've seen, like the first top 5, everyone agrees to. Then you may have number 6, number 7, number 8 that are all very close, but everyone is not agreeing to it. And so every committee member, and we really encourage every committee member to talk, because everyone is equal in there. No one has any higher role than anyone else. And so we want everyone to participate in the evaluation of the candidates.
Okay. And one other?
Go ahead.
Right. I have to be kind of frank on this point. Over the past year, I've heard from an awful lot of people who know that we've gone through the selection process, well, twice in 6 years or whatever, and they've made it clear to me they don't want to see us, sitting down 3 years or 4 years from now, going through it another time. Are there specific things that we are doing this time that we didn't do last time that we think are going to improve our whole selection process and procedure?
Well, I was not involved in your process.
And I wasn't either, because I've only been here a year.
So I don't know what process the board and the college went through, but I think we're going to be doing a very thorough process, especially at the tail end for the reference checking of the candidates. So we're going to be giving you a very thorough reference report on the candidate. So we hope that will be helpful in your deliberation and discussions of the candidate.
And that would be references from people who comment on the individual's performance or whatever else capabilities?
Well, the reference, you'll get the reference reports from the search consultants. If the board authorized the final interviews, the campus visits to have forums and meetings with constituent groups as I outlined, each of those folks will also be given an opportunity to submit some evaluative measure to you, and that will be given to you as well. So you'll have a lot of stuff to look at on your respective candidates.
So are you asking for approval tonight of each of the items one by one, or in general of what you've presented and the feedback that you've now been given?
In general of these 5
So
items.
I would like to make a motion to approve the presidential search with the additional information that the board has given for direction.
Second.
Okay.
I think it would help if we included in the motion And I think the last statement was made by Trustee Thompson that we're allowing the committee to decide at its own discretion the maximum number of candidates. So I think even though...
Is that a friendly amendment?
Yeah, it's a friendly
Then I accept it.
amendment. And the other topic that kind of came up was the EEOC training, and I think the last thing I heard was so that everybody got the same, we wanted it to be the in-house training. I might suggest that as a friendly amendment just for clarity as to board direction.
I accept both amendments.
Okay, so we are going to vote on the amendment to accept. Oh,
Before you vote on that amendment, we have one community member who said that they could come on the 18th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If that person, for whatever reason, is unable to come on the 18th, do we drop that person from the committee, or will Dr. Nicholson be able to provide training for that individual? I don't know who that individual is, so I can't answer that.
well,
My appointee can't attend on the 18th of February.
can't or can?
Cannot.
No, it's only one
But-
person
I think yours
can't
is-
go on the 30th.
Yours is on the 30th.
Yours coming on the 30th.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think that if you can't make the time between the 30th and the 18th to do it, then they probably don't have the time to commit to it, period. So we should drop them,
Replace them.
replace them, yes.
Well, I'd like some clarification. So are you saying they have given the date of the 18th, or you gave them the date of the 18th, and we're saying if they don't make either the 18th or 30th, they can't be on the committee?
That's, I think, is what he's suggesting. They have selected the 18th.
My concern was the board's direction that they should have their training by HR from the college and not by Dr. Nicholson. And I just want to make sure that we have clarity, because I don't want to have to, come back and ask you.
So I believe the friendly amendment is that everyone should, the screening committee should have all of their EEO training done by the 30th by the internal HR.
Or the 18th.
That's
Or the
correct.
18th.
So,
Or the 18th.
so
But if you say by the 30th, then it can
She
just
meant
be
that
by the 30th.
No, February the 18th, January 30th.
February 18th. Oh, yes, Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, my.
which doesn't rule out if there's one that needs even maybe a special date and time, because it's the internal staff, they might be able to
Yes.
have the same people train the same person at a different time.
Okay, we'll work it.
Okay, so what are we voting on?
I think
Let's
we're,
make a motion, or do we have to, which
have a
amendment?
motion.
We have
if
three-
we have a friendly, two friendly amendments and a friendly second, if the
Oh.
second agrees to those, then you can go straight to the main motion.
Wholeheartedly agree.
What was that?
I wholeheartedly agree. I was the second.
Okay, so we are voting, repeat what we're voting on, please.
To accept the presidential search with the amendments that the EEO training be conducted internally, and that the screening committee be, the arrangements be made for the screening committee to receive the EEO training by either the 30th or by February 18th.
18th.
I don't know why we just don't say February 18th. so,
Because I
okay.
said February 30th.
So that's
by
the
mistake.
motion, and we have a second?
And the second part of that is that we leave to the screening committee the latitude to submit the maximum number of candidates, to determine the maximum number of qualified candidates to be submitted to the board.
Thank you, and we have a second by trustee Marshall. All agree? Vote?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. But you also need to, and I think you have another board meeting before we invite candidates for interviews. I need to know if you're going to provide any reimbursement for travel.
I think we have to.
Yes, yes, we'll provide reimbursement for travel.
Okay.
I think we had already decided that.
One,
Thank you.
two other quick points. One is, we don't have to decide this tonight because it's not on the agenda, but do we want a board liaison to work with this committee? Number one. Second question was, I had suggested before, or asked before, that we consider a representative from the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce to be on this committee too, and that's not done for us. So I'd like to see both of those issues addressed, not tonight, but our next meetings.
Go ahead, Marshall.
Trustee Thompson, I'm on the committee. Does that count as a liaison?
Well, you're a student trustee and a student liaison, so I'd like to see us at least consider a full-fledged elected board trustee to be on the committee.
Thank
If the
you.
board decides not to do that, fine. I just want that to be something we address and make a decision on. So,
Trustee
nothing to
Mann?
do with you.
Mr. Thompson, we approved the procedure, and on there it says who was on the committee. We had a lot of discussion on that, and it did not provide for representatives from any district chamber. And I don't see how we could have someone from the Pasadena chamber, and Trustee Fellows just said they want some from Arcadia, and Trustee Waz going to want South Pasadena and San Marino. I think we have decided and approved these procedures, and we did discuss them. So I think that is done.
Well, I disagree.
Thank you.
Well, then I would move that we not have anyone except the approved members on the committee.
That's out of order. It's not a matter on the agenda.
We're not going to be discussing that tonight. Okay, so thank you.
He can't move, he cannot
There's
move
no
a
motion.
motion out of order. You're
There's
chairing
no
it.
motion, there's no nothing.
Yeah,
Let's,
right.
And
It's our next meeting.
I can expect, President Brown, I can expect from the board, prior to us inviting candidates on the dollar amount, because I would need to be able to let them know. I don't
we
want
will
to say
take
that
care
they're
of
going to
that.
be.
I will get back to you.
Okay.
I would suggest that instead of a dollar amount, we use our common measurements, that if they're flying, we would pay, whatever the cheapest flight is, the coach flight, one night lodging, and so much per mile, like we do for our own travel. Then we don't have to have a dollar amount. Because if we have someone who comes, say, from New Hampshire, that's going to be very expensive.
And
If
I
someone
can
comes-
get that information from HR.
I think we should just use the travel routes that we have from HR and not set a maximum on it, because I don't want to eliminate a candidate, again, maybe from somewhere where the flight would be very costly if by having to pay part of the other
Okay,
pocket.
we'll check with HR and your business department to get
Well,
those
I don't know if the
guidelines.
rest of the board agrees on that.
I agree.
Well, I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for coming out.
And one more, and I know this is out of order, but I'd like to congratulate Trustee Watt for your appointment to that statewide committee. It's a great
I
committee.
think Trustee Martin had one more thing.
Well, we do have an agenda item on the search committee. And
Yes,
so
we
as
do.
to not create a new agenda item, I think it would be very efficient for us, in some respects, to give direction on Mr. Thompson's request.
Well, I said, let's just take it up at our next board meeting.
Okay, and I'm just saying, I for one agree with Dr. Mann on both of those two. I think if we need a trustee liaison, I think the board president would be the natural to serve in that role. If and when and what capacity you need it, it would just be natural, you would go to the board president. But as the president.
I'm not your CEO, but you do have a board policy that defines that. And if you're going to make any changes, I would recommend that you bring your policy back for discussion.
And that's my point, is that I'm agreeing with Dr. Mann on what you said, that we stick with the policy, so we don't have a liaison, we don't have an extra member, and as the de facto, the board president represents the board, and so if there was an issue that required a trustee, it would naturally go to the board president.
But you have a board policy already,
Yes, we do.
We do.
and I'm following your directions per policy.
I'm not talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm talking
Thank
to
you
us.
so very much.
So we don't
Let's-
have to re-agendize this and go through another hour at another meeting.
Thank you, Stan.
So
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
I'm giving
Mr.
you,
Martin.
so I think we're there.
And I will be at the League Ledge Conference recruiting candidates, so if you're there, I will see you there.
We better see you buttonholing.
Okay, we are going to move right along. So we are going to take item K and push it up, because we have some folks in our audience which have been here since 6 o'clock. So you have some.
Yes, I think I have 8 speakers. I think Dr. Kay Muradian, Muradian put her name in twice, unless there's 2 Dr. Kay Muradians.
No, I think there's only one.
Well, no, okay. So we have seven speakers who wish to speak to this.
And while they're coming up to the podium, I'd like to say that this is an information item only. Item K, proposed resolution for the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, April 2015, Armenian National Committee of America, ANCA, Western Region.
Okay, the first person is Alex Kaligian, and I'm not Armenian, even though sometimes people think I am. So if I mispronounce your name, please just pronounce it correctly when you introduce yourself.
Well, that was perfect, Dr. Mann. Thank you very much. First off, I'd like to congratulate the new board leadership, President Brown, Vice President Wall, and Clerk Mann. Congratulations, and I look forward to a great year at Pasadena City College. Okay. This is a resolution that recognizes the month of April as a month of remembrance for the Armenian Genocide. It has been 100 years since these atrocities have occurred in the Ottoman Empire. This is a resolution that has been passed by the Glendale Community College Board of Trustees and by the Los Angeles Community College Board of Trustees. In addition, this is a very similar resolution that has gone before school boards, city council, etc. We do a tradition like this with the Pasadena Unified School District every year, and this is a tradition we hope to establish with Pasadena City College. I'm not speaking to you on behalf of the Armenian National Committee. I'm speaking to you on behalf as a student. And I hope this is something that we can educate our student population with, not just for the Armenians, but all the other atrocities that have occurred throughout the 20th century, such as with the Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, and most recently and currently the genocide that's occurring in Sudan. So I strongly urge the board to take a look at this resolution and approve it at the next board meeting. Thank you very much.
And I should have mentioned we have 3 minutes, and after 2 minutes, I'll remind you your time is up. The next one is Dr. K. Muradian, is that right? Who will be followed, well, I'm not going to say who's be followed by, Dr. K. Muradian. Yes, 3 minutes.
You may or may not be aware that AB 1915 was passed, which is the Armenian Genocide Act, was passed by, the law was signed by Governor Brown last September. So my mom was a survivor of the Armenian Genocide, and I wrote a book, and from this book we designed a 25-minute documentary primarily for history classes, because unfortunately most of the textbooks say nothing about the Armenian Genocide in the World War I section. For example, Glencoe, I think it's McGraw Hill, has 25 pages dedicated to World War I, and the Armenian Genocide is not even mentioned. And unless it's taught in the school system, it's going to fade away from history. You know, I did a ton of research for my book in particular. I went to used bookstores, and I went through the memoir section and the history section, opened the book to the table of contents. If I saw the word Constantinople, I bought the book, because those individuals were there. I went through the book stacks at UCLA under Turkey and World War I. I went through all of those books. I spent 3 months going through 10 reels of microfilm from the Library of Congress, the personal papers of Ambassador Morgenthau, who was the American ambassador to the Ottoman Empire from 1913 to 1916. And I also went to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Library in Hyde Park to go through Ambassador Morgenthau's personal papers. And for a researcher...
You have about 1 more minute.
Oh, dear. Okay. So, I just want to say one of the books that I ran across was a book written by George Schreiner in his book From Berlin to Baghdad. And in that book, he stated that the Ottoman Empire had a population of 22 million. Now, 2 million of those were Armenians. Now, that's almost 10% of the population. And today, Turkey has a population of 77 million, and the Armenian population has about 7 million throughout the world. And so what has happened is that it has taken 100 years for the Armenian intelligentsia to rebuild itself. And I appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, to look at the Armenian genocide as having a rightful place in history. And
I'm sorry, but the light's red. Your time is up. Could you have one final sentence, a very short one?
No, all I want to say.
All right, thank you. The next person is Felicia K. Dominion.
Good evening. My name is Felicia Kadamian, and I am on the Armenian National Committee of America Pasadena chapter. I'm also part of the Education Committee. I'm here to talk to you about the Near East Relief. The Near East Relief was created under President Wilson and U.S. State Department as part of the first organization whose sole purpose was to rescue the Armenian people and the Christians that were being annihilated and being discriminated against during the genocide. This was the first congressionally sanctioned American effort that the U.S. actually did participate in. The U.S. did invest over $117 million during the years of 1915 to 1930. And the U.S. government also did rescue over 130,000 Armenians. I would like to thank the U.S. government and also encourage the trustees to have this as part of not only just Armenian history or even world history. This is part of U.S. history. I would also like to encourage the trustees to join the 2 other community colleges that have accepted this resolution. Be a part of one of the top 3 community colleges that is inclusive of Armenian human rights and inclusiveness of human rights violations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Dominique Dombadidian.
Good evening, board members. It's Dominique Donabedian. I'm a board member on the Armenian National Committee Pasadena chapter. Thank you very much for having me and listening to what I have to say. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Words that resonate quite poignantly, referenced by a man, a wonderful man, a conscientious man, if ever there was one. Just 2 days ago, we celebrated his day, his name, his legacy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he lived by 3 words that I normally sum up: justice, truth, and perseverance. And as an Armenian and Armenian diasporans and Armenians living in Armenia, we've always lived by those 3 words: truth, justice, and perseverance. And as we mark the 100th anniversary of the heinous crimes that were committed against our nation in 1915, April 24, I would like to, in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, in the spirit of justice and truth, thank you for considering the resolution that you have it as an item here tonight. And we, as a member of the Armenian American community in Pasadena and representative of that community, we're very profoundly thankful and that you would be taking it into consideration, and hopefully the resolution will come out very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Sonia Doneya.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sona. I'm a longtime resident of Pasadena, and I'm here with my son, Ruben, who is a 2nd semester student at PCC, and who's also following in the footsteps of my oldest son, who is a former PCC student, and thanks to the rigorous program here and the wonderful counseling services he received on this campus, he successfully transferred to UCLA, where he is currently finishing his bachelor's and preparing for medical school. I want to, on this occasion, take the opportunity to express my deepest and most sincere thanks to PCC. I also happened to be a Glendale Community College faculty member. And I witnessed late last year, how the GCC Board of Trustees passed this resolution on the Armenian genocide on the occasion of the centennial. Excuse me. They ensured by doing so that the history of the genocide is taught and shared properly throughout campus activities and the community at large. I'm here because I'm confident, and so is my son Ruben, your current student, that the PCC board will agree to move this issue to an action item, and we both look forward to witnessing that this resolution will be adopted in your future meetings. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you and congratulations to your son. Ahid Garver.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And as everybody said, Happy New Year to everyone. I am here today as an Armenian, a daughter of an Armenian genocide survivor, and a U.S. citizen who's been here for more than 30 years. 100 years ago, Armenians were massacred by Turks, and my dad and my mom, everybody had to walk all the way to other countries. We lost most of the intellectual or the professionals because they got killed. All was left was children and mothers and some feeble men. And we went all over universe, I guess, and we survived and we flourished, and we're happy for that. The Turks on the other side, about 20 years ago, they gave their committee to fight this genocide an open-ended checkbook. We don't have that. Armenians, we don't have it because we're just learning how to survive and to reestablish, and I think we have done very well. Today we are here, as you heard, the young ones here and the old ones like me. We're asking you to support our case, our cause, our genocide, and don't let it go under blankets. And I would appreciate one of you today make a motion to move this from an information item to an action item, and try to work with us because we are citizens of this beautiful city of the Pasadena. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last, Dr. Alice Petrosian. And when she comes up, Dr. Alice Petrosian, as many of you may not know, was a member of the Board of Governors and actually was president of the California Community College Board of Governors. We're very pleased to have you, Dr. Petrosian.
Thank you for remembering one of my hats. It is a pleasure to appear before you, and I had the honor.
And it's great to see you.
It's great to see you, President Miller, and honorable trustees. I've served in a number of capacities. The latest where I worked with this campus was as Deputy Superintendent and Chief Academic Officer of the Pasadena Unified School District. I have since retired and was called back into action by the Armenian National Committee as the chair of the Western States Education Committee. Our goal at this 100th commemoration is to make certain that the story is told and remembered, not just as a story, but as a fact of history, and that it is never repeated again. Yet every time we pray and hope man's inhumanity to man does not show its ugly face, it does. And until we study all of the victims and what has happened, we're bound to have history repeat itself. Being a proud member, proud graduate of a community college, of the whole system itself, our goal is to have, in California as well as in Nevada and other western states, the same resolution adopted. LA City College has already adopted it. You just heard Glendale Community College has adopted this resolution. And we strongly hope that you will ask for this resolution to become an action item, and we look forward to having you be the third community college as we move with over 120 colleges throughout the western area that we've asked to do the same. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the opportunity of working with this board, its outstanding staff and student community. Thank you again.
Thank you. That's the last speaker on this item.
Okay, we have, go ahead, Trustee Wall.
Yeah, I just wanted to make two comments. One, while I was doing a lot of work today, I just happened to turn on TV, and there was 3 young women of diverse ethnic backgrounds who were talking about remembering some of the dark events of our history and how we need to remember them to make sure that we don't repeat history. And there were a number of events coming up, certainly Martin Luther King Day, the Civil Rights, the Civil War. And as the API community is coming up to celebrate the Korematsu Day and the internment of the Japanese, that is also one of them, certainly the Armenian genocide. And I've also had the privilege of viewing Dr. Muradian's film on the Armenian genocide and was very moved by it. I know it's been forwarded to Congress, and I am aware that several of the K-12 districts in our area, as well as community colleges, have adopted the curriculum. I think it's important for us to ensure that we have this diverse recounting of history in our curriculum.
Absolutely. Trustee Selvage.
I've read some of the diplomatic cables that Ambassador Morgenthau sent to the State Department in the spring of 1915, and I recommend them to anybody who wants to get benefit of firsthand view of what was going on.
So, go ahead.
I would ask that we put this on our agenda the next meeting for possible action. And City of Pasadena's Admiral Memorial Park is planning on having a memorial put up. I think we would not want to report as to what the status of that is, and perhaps to coordinate what we're doing here or being asked to do here with what the city is already doing. So I would ask to have this on our next agenda.
I second the motion.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so we will plan to bring this up next time as an action item. And thank you so much for coming.
Great, thank you.
I just have one comment. I have read, I'm not going to try to pronounce your name again. I hope I can just call you Kate. I've seen her movie, and I've read part of your book, and I would recommend it to everyone. The movie is designed for high school students, but I think community college students could benefit from it. And we have had, for the last year or so, a plan to establish a presidential advisory committee on Armenian community, for the Armenian community. And Dr. Miller assured me that that still is in the planning stages, and we will eventually have it, as we do for the Presidential Latino Advisory Committee and African American Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to move back to item H, Board Policy Revisions recommended by Board Policy Review Committee. Dr. Mann.
Yes, this is the last of the board policies, which are now board bylaws, which have, when we complete this, we will have reviewed everyone that within the 6-year time frame. There are a few some that are policies that still have to go through shared governance, but we will have reviewed all of the board bylaws. This is essentially what happened was the consultant recommended that we separate the health benefits policy from the general policy, and there is really I think no change here in the benefits. It simply says that that board members will have the same health policy as others, personnel employed, and then there is a statement here as to what former board members are entitled to, but none of this language is new, or none of the ideas are new. So, are there any questions on this?
Any questions? Go ahead.
Where did the numbers come from? I mean,
Which numbers?
January 181, January 1, 1995, et cetera. So
That comes from the California law.
State legislature.
Yeah, it's from this government code. Those are numbers out of the government code.
Great, thank you.
We had a former board member who challenged those numbers, and I'm sure that that's from the government code.
Okay, any other discussion? If not,
I move to approve.
thank you. Do we have a second?
For my time, so.
I'll second it.
Okay, advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion's carries unanimously, and we will move to, let's see. Okay, we have item I, additions and deletions to the non-credit curriculum. Dr. Miller.
So under tab I in your board binder are the additions and deletions to the non-credit curriculum courses, and we would ask the board's approval of this action.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have a question. I think I know the answer. These are courses that we need in order to offer these new non-credit degrees. Is that correct?
Doctor, I think the answer is yes, that is correct.
Yes, the answer is correct, Dr. Min, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. And now we go to item J, the appointment, Board of Trustees appointments and committees. We didn't get that done on December 10, so we are going to do this quickly. So for the Los Angeles County Committee and School District Organization, Dr. Ross Selvage has agreed to be on that committee. The Los Angeles County School of Trustees, Belinda Brown. Community College League of California, Linda Waugh. Is that okay, right? Measure P would be Trustee Brown. PCC Foundation, Bill Thompson. Legislative Committee, Dr. Mann, Linda Waugh, Bill Thompson, and Trustee Marshall Lewis. Correct?
Yes.
KPCC Oversight Committee, Dr. Mann, Bill Thompson, and Dr. Fellow. Dr. Fellow? Yes. Accreditation Board Policy Review Committee, Dr. Mann, Linda Waugh, and Belinda Brown, and Marcia Lewis. Yes?
Which one was that?
Accreditation Board?
Yes.
Yes. And the Budget and Audit Committee, or truly, we have Dr. Ross, John Martin, and Dr. Fellow. We will hold off on the Community Outreach Ad Hoc Committee until we see how our retreat goes. So those are the appointments for this year. Do we need it? Yes.
It says on the sheet that the KPCC Oversight Committee is Jeanette Mann, Bill Thompson, and Tony Fellow. Was that what you said?
Yes.
I misunderstood you, then thank you. Approve.
Second.
I don't remember it.
Okay. Advisor vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and we are done. Thank you. Okay, so now we will go to information items, and in the interest of time, because we do have to go back to closed session, we are going to omit and only call on the accreditation update committee, please.
So to staff out there, that means that we're going to defer everything to the February 4th meeting. Thanks for sitting through this.
We're sorry.
So I want to welcome to the podium Matt Jordan, our accreditation liaison officer, and Stephanie Fleming, our faculty accreditation coordinator and chair.
So, good evening. Thank you for welcoming us here tonight. We are going to give a very brief update, 4 or 5 minutes, where we're going to talk about 2 topics. The first topic I will talk about, which is the pre-visit that occurred on last Thursday, January 15th. And then Stephanie afterwards will discuss activities that are occurring on campus to prepare for the March 2nd through the 5th accreditation visit. So as I mentioned last Thursday, the team chair and team assistant visited the campus. This is College of the Redwoods President Kathy Smith and College of the Redwoods Dean Tracy Thomas. The pre-visit is customary, and it's done at every single, in advance of every accreditation visit that happens on a college campus. During the visit, the two met with shared governance leaders. They met with Interim President Miller, myself, and also our self-evaluation coordinator, Stephanie, in 30-minute meetings each. They also toured the campus in a specialized tour led by Outreach Director Tamika Alexander and staff person Alan De La Vara. They visited the Pathways Center, the library, the Center for the Arts, and also CTE facilities. Both of them commented on how impressed they are with PCC staff and facilities. They were extremely pleased with everything they saw during the pre-visit. We had the opportunity to discuss logistics and scheduling. The team will be staying at the Hilton Pasadena in March. We discussed and visited team rooms both on campus and at the hotel. We discussed interviews that will occur during the March visit, including with shared governance leaders, with board members, campus committee chairs, department managers, et cetera. And they informed me interviews that they would like to have while they are here so that I can start setting those up. In regards to the schedule, on Monday of their visit, they will arrive on campus at around 3 o'clock. We will have a welcome reception, and then they will take a 2-hour tour. On Tuesday and Wednesday, they will spend both of those days all day long conducting interviews and writing in the team room. Then on Thursday, they will come to campus briefly. They will conduct the exit forum, during which they will give general impressions about their visit, but they will not provide any evaluative information. We do not receive that information until the ACCJC rules at their June meeting. Also during the visit, there will be 2 open forums during which any member of the campus or community can come to present information for the team to consider. It is not a discussion or a back and forth. The team will receive the information but will not respond. Finally, I'd just like to close this portion of the update by saying I was extremely impressed with President Smith and Dean Thomas. They understand some of the amazing things that we have going on campus, are very impressed. They also understand many of the challenges that we've experienced on campus, and they were sympathetic and understanding to those. And I feel we're very lucky and fortunate to receive these 2 experienced professionals as our team chair and team assistant.
And as Matt was mentioning, the site team, the full site team, will return the first week of March. And there are several things that the campus is working on, several events to help us prepare for that site visit. First of all, we are updating the website. Matt and I were here probably last year where we showed you the updates to the website. So now we're going through and making sure that all of the program reviews, the planning documents, the assessment reports are all up to date and thorough so that the team will be able to find them quickly. That we're creating a publication that will help to describe to the campus community what to expect during that site visit, and will also help detail some talking points and some information about some of the key campus processes that we have that they may ask about. We're developing a training for those that are likely to be interviewed so that people feel comfortable during that process, and then we'll actually go through and implement some mock interviews for folks so that they get some practice with that, so they have a feel for what it's like. We've talked a lot about those actionable improvement plans, and we'll be discussing those tomorrow morning at the College Coordinating Council, and then we'll also be discussing it. It's on our agenda for the Planning and Priorities Committee next Monday. All of the AIPs have been discussed. Key members of the campus community who should lead those items have been put in place, and we'll be asking for an update on the process and where people are in terms of meeting those AIPs in February so that we can give that information to the visiting team.
Yeah, and this concludes our update. If you have any questions for us, we would be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, can I get a written schedule of what you just recited? Is there a written schedule or something like that?
Currently I'm still working with the team chair to finalize the schedule. Right now we have a draft. You know, I'd be happy to share the draft, and then also I will certainly share the final schedule.
Oh, the final's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I might add, I wanted a quick note of appreciation to our shared governance groups and others who took the time to meet with President Scott and her dean. I don't know if you mentioned, I may have not heard, but the team's going to be about 14 people. It's going to be a fairly large team for an institution of our size. Again, ongoing gratitude to Dean Jordan and Professor Fleming for the great work that they are doing in leading this effort. As you can tell, it's quite extensive, and I believe our level of preparation would rival anybody's who is about to go through such an activity. So thank you very much.
I also wanted to echo Dr. Miller's comments. I just think you guys are doing a great job. But I also wanted to let my fellow trustees know that I had a chance to sit on the web design review committee, and I didn't realize that accreditation was such an important part of that design. And so one of the requirements is that all of the accreditation information just be one click away on the website. So Dr. Selvage, if you want to get that information, it will be on the website.
Great. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is, yeah, just go to
So do you have a report?
I do have a report, but I'd be happy to defer till the next meeting.
Okay, so let's go to announcements. Okay, shared governance. Let's see, we have Academic Senate. Anyone here from Academic Senate?
I was advised the Academic Senate leadership is at a statewide conference today, which is why they're not here.
Okay, how about Management Association? Is that it?
Oh, he's also in.
Dr. Douglas is out of town as well.
Oh, okay, how about Classified?
Graciela is here.
Oh, you could do right there.
You can do it right at your seat there.
There you go, Kathy. Girl, you moved up. You don't know that, do you?
I got to get used to this special seating here. Well, good evening, trustees. We just wanted to let you know Classified Senate is currently planning our spring events for this semester, so we've been very busy. We just met again today. Basically what we're doing is we're planning our biggest event, which is our Classified Days, where it's a retreat for all classified staff. So we're in the process of doing that. We're looking at the month of May. As I mentioned to you before, we're also planning on conducting town hall meetings to just address the issues of classified staff here on campus. And also we're making plans for our classified scholarship that we award every year, one to a student and also one to staff. So that sums up what classified staff is doing.
Thank you. Okay, so we have associated students.
Yes. Hi. Oh, God. This is weird. I haven't done this in probably 4 semesters. It's good to see you guys. Happy second week of school for us. We kicked off a really low-key but successful week of welcome last week. We have some new students coming in from different schools, coming in from surrounding schools to come take classes here, so that's really great. One of the things that we are discussing this year, we have some new positions that have resigned, but we have replaced some with some new appointees, so you'll be seeing some new faces in regards to associate students, so look forward to that. The second thing we're going to be doing this year is really focusing on getting student input in regards to the calendar, and also in regards to things that we want to voice on behalf of the students this year in regards to legislative visits up to Sacramento as well as local, and as well as when we go to Washington, D.C. over spring break. I will not be attending that, but I will be attending a college visit with Ujima, so that's what I'm going to be doing in spring break. The last and final thing that I would like to say to the people present as well as to shared governance reps, I just want to make very clear when I or any of my designees, a part of my board, are not present at any shared governance meetings, it is extremely important to not defer comments to previous boards or to any sort of things that might be heard. I've been hearing some troubling things, and I want to make very clear that our voice, our 12 unit voice is the voice of these 30,000 students, but I cannot voice that opinion unless I survey my students first before I get that. And I want to make very clear that my voice is not, it does represent those 30,000 students, but again, I will not voice my opinion unless I know what my students want. And so I just want to make it very clear that if I'm not present at any shared governance meetings, or if I'm not at any meetings, that if anybody does speak on the students' behalf, that is pulled, or that is not being said, because again, it's not representative of how we feel as students. Other than that, I'm really excited for this year. I'm going bye-bye, so thank the Lord. I'm leaving. I just signed my petition to transfer, and I'm taking care of all my transcripts. So other than that, thank you so much.
When are you transferring?
When? August, I'll be gone. I mean, I'm done in May. I'll be walking in May.
Okay.
So you'll be handing me my 2 degrees in May. So I look forward to
So
that.
where are you going to be attending?
I have no clue. I got into I still have to submit my Common App for USC, but I got into Humboldt and San Francisco State. So
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations. Woo.
And I'm just going to very quickly interject that thanks to Jordan and others, we're off to a very, very good spring. We've got our enrollment is solid. We're likely going to be up 6% from one year to the next. So we'll give you that full report at the next meeting. But I wanted the board to know that the spring semester has gotten off to a very, very good start, and we're doing quite well.
Great. So trustees, any report?
None. I received a resolution from Cabrillo College, the trustees up there, and I'd like to place this on our next agenda for support. And it deals with, they're asking the state to come up with some new funding to allay the costs, increased costs of some of the performing some of the services of the technical education, and trying to put together a different ratio because of the high equipment cost and maintenance costs, and that these courses should be smaller. And this is a resolution that the state legislature should look at this and put together some kind of funding mechanism to help the community colleges. So if we can place that on the next agenda.
Thank you. I did see that, and I'm glad you reminded me. Dr. Mann, any report?
I have nothing to report.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Linda.
All right, so for the next 15 minutes.
You got 2
Okay.
Sorry, your time is up.
Okay, you guys, I think everyone got the flyer that the Asian American Pacific Islander Advisory is having their pathway this Saturday. So even though it's hosted by the API Advisory, I encourage all of you to encourage your students to come. It will be very focused services. Dr. Olivo and her staff do a great job getting everyone through and getting them into classes in a kind of a one-stop fashion. You also have received and there's also a flyer in your packet. On January 29th from LAXTA, we are having legislative updates, and the keynote speaker will be Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell of Long Beach, who is the chair of the Education Committee, the State Assembly, and we will have updates from the California League, who will be coming in, the Office of Education, California School Boards Association. So I encourage all of you to come and have your K-12 reps there. Also, just as a sort of reiteration of the Armenian Genocide Korematsu Day, which we have a resolution to support, is on January 30th, and it will be at Pasadena High School, and so I hope you all will attend that. As far as league updates, President Louise Jaffe sent out notice that we have the interim CEO, Tui Nguyen, and we will be conducting the search for the permanent CEO and hope to have that done within 6 months. And then hopefully all of you got the information that PCC has 2 representatives on the State Chancellor's Workforce Development Task Force. So I see this as a great opportunity for us to be involved in workforce development regionally and to give input. So Lionel Wiggins and I met with Dr. Miller and Dean Davila, and I hope that we can then convene sort of these ongoing discussions to make sure that we have input from our areas to bring into the workforce development. Thank you.
I was very excited when I saw that. I said, yes, maybe we could get something done now. Trustee Thompson.
Yes, we're having a gala here on campus on the 16th of May of this year.
We are.
PCC Foundation is putting us on. PCC Celebrates Student Success. And I've passed out and handed to each of you a little packet of information about the event itself. And we're challenging all of you to become sponsors for the event, and looking forward to a great evening. It's off to a very good beginning. We've got Jim Watterson, Nancy Davis, who are putting it together for us, working with Bobby Abram and others of us. Carol, my wife, and I are the chairs of the event. We're very delighted to be given that honor and to have that opportunity. And so it's going to be a fantastic evening. Come and be here, and by all means, purchase your table, be sponsors for the events, and if you don't do that voluntarily, I'll be following up with you periodically until we have received your response. So we look forward to that. So, but it's going to be a terrific event. Again, the purpose of it is to raise money for scholarships for students, so it's a great purpose. And we also want to get the community better acquainted with the college, with this beautiful campus, and knowing what we do here. And so that's the whole purpose behind it.
Great. Trustee Savage, no report? How about Trustee Lewis?
No report.
All right.
President Brown, I'm sorry, I did have something. Just take a second. I just want to, it's an announcement, it's kind of a thank you to President Miller. Last Tuesday, the PCC hosted with an organization called ACT, the first of the, it seems like, endless mayoral debates. And there was at least 100, at one time someone counted 160 people, so there must have been more than that because people were coming and going. And as I was leaving, I overheard lots of people from the community saying, oh, what a beautiful building. I haven't been here a long time. Look how nice this parking garage is. So I think it not only gave people an opportunity to hear, see local politics in action, but it really showed off, was a nice showcase for our campus. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we will move on to our future board meetings. Wednesday, February the 4th, February the 18th, and February the 18th. We will have a retreat on February the 21st, and our next business meeting on March the 4th, following that. So, and also March 18th, I didn't get that page. Okay, so we are now going to adjourn this meeting. No, we're going to recess, I'm sorry.
We're recessing.
To a closed session. So don't go away. We're back from closed session, and we have nothing to report. Good night.